Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of dismal Disney. We're going to talk about Disney's Galactic Starcruiser and how Disney executive Josh D'Amaro says that it was difficult to explain it to people.
It's not that difficult to explain. I mean, it's difficult to explain why it costs so much.
It's difficult to explain why it's called Star Wars when it clearly wasn't.
Star Wars adjacent.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this comment. This was in another interview with CNBC. That seems to be Disney's go-to damage control publication. And yeah, he said, it was a great idea. Just it was difficult to explain to people. Difficult to explain. And that's why it failed. Let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
All right. So, yeah, originally this came from CNBC, but we're going to cut to the chase here on piratesandprincesses.net. He said that they had a difficult time explaining what the Galactic Starcruiser was to guests.
It's not that hard. Once people didn't understand what it was, it's because it was such a ridiculous idea. It's LARPing, which first of all, a lot of people aren't comfortable with that. A lot of people, want to go and be part of things, but a lot of people are introverted and they don't like to be put in a position where they have to LARP. You are supposed to be a Star Wars hotel, but the Star Wars experience is jiggling rocks in an atrium. A restaurant that looks nothing like the restaurants, you would expect in Star Wars. You had playing games on an iPad. And then you got to go in the box truck to be, like you're kidnapped to go and be transported to Batuu. All of this for less than 2 days and $4,800 to $6,000 starting price.
Human trafficker simulator. That's what you're playing, the trafficking simulator. Yeah, I don't understand.
Well, you get to do lightsaber training.
Okay, because that was all stuff that was supposed to be part of Galaxy's Edge for everybody. The lightsaber stuff, that was supposed to be their version of Harry Potter, the wands.
But you know what's bullshit? They're taking this stuff and they're taking it to Disneyland. And if you take it to Disneyland and you're doing the Seasons of the Force, you're allowed to go have some of these, buy some of the stuff and not have to pay $4,800 to $6,000 paywall to do it. They're gonna have droids going all over the place. That's what they're supposed to do. They'll have to pay the $4,800 to $6,000 to do it. It's paywalled everywhere else.
Yeah, we'll talk about that because I know Mike actually put this up earlier that the droids are walking around the park now. We have all this. This is what Josh D'Amaro said, and then we're gonna break it down here a little bit more. He said, "This is something that's never been done before. The Galactic Starcruiser. It was difficult to even explain it to the public, and I think it was incredibly brave for us to move into this space. And to me, it says Imagineering is still at its best today. Those learnings are being employed on the next experiences, which we haven't even announced yet."
It failed, but it wasn't because we suck. It's because we're too brave. We were just too brave and ahead of the times. Okay, there, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, this was a high-flying disaster. We've got Forbes, the high-flying death of the Star Wars hotel before it opened. Many news outlets were slamming it. They said the price is way too high and it doesn't look like Star Wars. It looks like Star Trek.
Tiny.
Look at this guy. Does he look happy? Does this guy look happy?
Okay, they said those are full-size beds. It doesn't look like I don't think he'll fit in that bed.
That's a child's bed.
I don't think he'll fit. If he laid down, I don't think he's going to fit in that bed.
If you're 5'5", if you're 5'5", you might fit. But clearly that is not. I mean, I have a hard time. I'm 6'3", so I have a hard time in a regular bed for regular sized people, right? Because my feet hang off the edge sometimes. There's no way in hell I'd be able to fit in that.
Is this a bed for ants?
Is this a bed for ants? Yeah. Oh my God. You're all. Yeah. This is the Ewok LARPing experience. Just pretend you're the size of an Ewok. And but they're taking the bits and pieces. We were going to do a video on this before and we didn't talk about it, but they're taking the leftover crap from the Galactic Starcruiser and they're taking it to Disneyland now, and they're selling you their overpriced drinks. But that's
basically, yeah,
$5,000.
You can buy the souvenir cups that were part of the Starcruiser.
Oh my God, I just don't understand. He's like, we had a hard time explaining it to people. It's like, no, I think you explained it to people very, very well. We're going to charge you $5,000. You're going to come into a bunker that looks nothing like Star Wars, or at least not the Star Wars you know, and you're going to be completely underwhelmed. And that's it for 2 days. We're going to
You're
lock
going to be
you,
completely trapped.
and you're going to be trapped. Yeah. You can go outside in the atrium and jiggle some rocks, but like, I mean, seriously, if you're going to charge people that much, and that's like even the dinner show and all that stuff, like you couldn't spring for like the animatronic Max Rebo band. You couldn't spring for like an animatronic hut. That would have been pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what people thought they were going to get at Galaxy's Edge, let alone the hotel. They actually took all this stuff, this immersion, and apparently they put them on the D23 Instagram. But this immersion, this kind of stuff was promised at the start years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're going to do it during the Seasons of the Force at Disneyland.
At Disneyland. Now, if they did this at the start when they opened and they based it on the original trilogy, God, they are cute. Okay, they are cute. How much do they want for one? $1 million. But yeah, if this kind of stuff was going on when they opened, I don't think there would be as much backlash. If people could use the lightsabers like they're supposed to, they had patents for it. You're supposed to be able to use lightsabers. I don't think there would be as much backlash. But then they took all that stuff and they're like, oh, we're going to paywall it on a $5,000 LARPing hotel. And then even that was underwhelming. Mm-hmm. Like, and they're going to be, oh, it's because Bob Chapek cheaped out. No, they were talking about cheaping out before
this
Chapek.
opened, the Starcruiser opened under, Chapek, but the Galaxy's Edge, when they promised all this stuff and they paywalled it, that was under Iger.
Yeah. And they actually said under Iger, they were cutting back on stuff. They were supposed to have 3 attractions at Galaxy's Edge. They were supposed to have like a Bantha walking attraction thing too, which would have been kind of cool. And they were going to do all kinds of aliens and droids and stuff walking around the land. That would have been kind of cool. And they didn't do any of it. And they're like, oh, well, you come to this hotel. That's where all the really cool stuff is. And it's like 2 cosplayers and some Star Trek looking food and some tiny, tiny rooms and $5,000. Like, how the hell? Yeah. How do you explain to people why it's a value? That's the thing. It's difficult to explain. It's difficult to explain why the fuck we greenlit it.
Yeah, it's difficult to explain why you're charging so much. It's just not that hard to explain. People aren't, they weren't interested in it. They wanted, like, if you had done old school Star Wars, that more people had, related to, if you had, made it more affordable, given them something like, okay, the lightsaber training was cool, and the being on the, the bridge and getting to play the video game would be cool, but not $6,000 cool.
No. So this article on CNBC, Puff Piece, they're talking about how important the parks are to Disney. And if they're that important, guys, how much money did you spend on that Starcruiser? You could have spent it on something else that would have brought you more return, but whatever. They said in 2023, the parks account for 36% of the company's total revenue, but 70% of its operating income. 70% of its operating income comes from the theme parks, and they're not doing their due diligence on the parks. That's insane. They said the division's strength is why Disney has pledged to invest $60 billion in experiences over the next 10 years. And Tomorrow said 70% of that money will go toward new experiences in domestic and international parks.
They're spending a lot of money in the international
and
parks.
Cruise lines. The other 30% will go toward technology and infrastructure, including maintenance of existing attractions.
But that's more than they would break it down. They said it wasn't 70% before, and that white paper wasn't 70%.
Yeah.
It fluctuates.
And then they talk about the cutting edge, and they talk about the droids. It's like, again, this stuff, instead of spending money on the Starcruiser, do this. Do animatronic aliens. More. They have like what? Doc Ondar. Is that the only one they have? I think in the whole park. And they have Honda too. I think.
Mm-hmm. They have Honda in there, yeah.
But like,
well, they have Akbar in the Rise of Resistance.
Akbar,
they have a bunch in the Rise of Resistance. They have him. They have Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Like that. So there are in that, but they're not. There's a lot of screens.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, this is what people wanted, and it in no way, shape, or form was this thing the Harry Potter killer that they promised. And when they first announced it, people were excited. They thought it was going to be like an Endor base and it was going to, the original trilogy, and it was going to be like, oh my God, it's going to make Harry Potter look like crap. And it's like, no, man, Harry Potter completely destroys the immersion in Harry Potter, completely destroys anything going on in Star Wars right now in Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, I love this though. It said, guests who visit Galaxy's Edge in the next 3 months may stumble across this trio of droids in the next 3 months. And they're going to add to the regular roaming characters like Rey, Chewbacca, and Kylo Ren. Why not Darth Vader?
Yeah, exactly.
Darth Vader. People want to see Darth Vader. They're hoping that hands-on innovations such as the robots are going to keep the guests coming. Those moments where there's a spark, there's an emotion that's full on display where a guest is interacting with an attraction or cast member or character, and it's very real and genuine. Well, that actually is true. If you can get to stuff, because a lot of times now everybody wants to crowd around it with their phones.
But beyond that though, I'm back to what the point was, is people didn't understand what Galaxy's Edge is.
They didn't understand
and I'm like,
it.
no, they understood. They thought it was too expensive and it was, probably uncomfortable for many. And it was, when you look at the experience, it looked like crap.
Yeah, they understood.
Pickle rocks in the atrium.
They understood they're getting ripped off. They completely understood what it was. They knew it was a rip-off, which is why they didn't go. And it was a one and done, just like everybody said it would be.
Part was the one and done, yes.
And I can't wait for the Defunct Land video because he's going to understand. He's going to totally explain why it failed.
I'm sure.
Are we going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.